Okay, welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to hand over to the first of our presenters today, Achare, joining us from Cameroon.
Yeah, thank you everyone, and especially thanks to Sustainable Teachers for this privilege to invite me to speak on the work I've been doing so far concerning conservation of the environment. I hope my speaker is okay, everyone can hear me well. Yeah, so my name is Achare Elvis Ayamba. I'm from Cameroon, and by profession, I am a professional or an engineer in fishes and aquatic ecosystem management. And currently, I'm the founder and the executive director of the Environment and Food Foundation. So the brief presentation today will be an overview of the Environment and Food Foundation, what it's all about, its mission and vision, and some of the programs that have been carried out in the Environment and Food Foundation. And just got some closing remarks. Yeah, let's go to the next slide, please. Yeah. So now I would like to talk about how it all started, the Environment and Food Foundation. The vision all started. This was when I was like still in the secondary school and started seeing some of the impact on our marine and freshwater ecosystems in our communities. And with this love and passion I have for the marine and freshwater ecosystems, this pushed me to go, when I was going to university, to study fishes and aquatic sciences, which was what I did. And throughout the studies of fishes and aquatic sciences, the passion increased, and I also saw the threat and the learning rate. And I said, okay, I think it's high time for me also to look at how I can also be like a solution to this threat to our marine and freshwater ecosystem. So I've been cautious of some of these important services provided by marine and freshwater ecosystems, starting talking about provisioning services like food production, job production, transportation is a concern to me. Also cultural services provided by our ocean like tourism is something I love also. And some supportive services of the environment, the marine ecosystem, mostly the provision of at least 50% of the oxygen on the surface of the earth, which is being provided by the ocean, is something that could not be taken for granted. And the regulatory services provided by the ocean, all of these were in my mind while I was looking forward to see how I can engage tirelessly in conserving our ocean. And also seeing this alarming rate. Today, our ocean are highly threatened. Today, the ocean services are now in other serious threat by human exploitation, over human exploitation, environmental pollution, and also greenhouse gas emission like carbon dioxide. These are some of the alarming threats on our marine and freshwater ecosystem today. And now, in the context of my community, the context of intense marine litter or debris pollution in a marine ecosystem. And the mangroves also, they are highly degraded. All of this pushed me, seeing the services the ocean provided, and now seeing how these services are under serious threat. It also pushed me to look forward to creating the Environment and Food Foundation, which was founded by me, and some of the co-founders are my colleagues in the same institute that we study the same field together. Yeah, let's go to the next slide, please. Yeah, the Environment and Food Foundation has as a mission to promote sustainable co-management, protection, restoration, and preservation of marine and freshwater ecosystems. And we try to attain this mission through advocacy, through environmental education, through marine litter or debris collection and valorization, through research, and through conservation projects and programs. Next slide, please. The Environment and Food Foundation, the mission here is to envision to see a world where all contributes to their socio-economic development, to socio-economic development of their own communities. We believe in helping people, empowering people to empower their own communities, like providing some sort of training, eco-friendly livelihoods. Also, we envision to see a world where all has access to sufficient quality food. Yeah, quality food here, mostly we look at the natural food in the natural ecosystem, like the ocean. The ocean feeds billions of people in the world. And also, we can also talk about the food that we can produce in inland, like inland aquaculture, piggery, poultry, and others. And also, Environment and Food Foundation envision to see a world where all have the right mindset to live in harmony with our blue planet Earth, the stream, the rivers, the lake, the oceans, the mangrove, wetlands, and even the rainforest. And that is where our motto is coming from. We are here for renewing environmental mindfulness, and more specifically, renewing blue mindfulness. Let's go to the next slide, please. Some of the programs at the Environment and Food Foundation. Firstly, we have a program on participatory conservation and restoration of mangrove forest ecosystem. Like I said earlier, my community here in Cameroon is highly threatened by mangrove forest degradation. The mangrove forest ecosystems are poorly managed. We have a high rate of degradation of our mangrove forest ecosystem. Now looking at the various importance of the mangroves that I cannot say much here, the nursery ground, where filter to the ocean and so forth. We look into how we can conserve and restore this mangrove forest ecosystem. Some of the activities that we do at the Environment and Food Foundation for the conservation of our mangroves include increased environmental education and awareness raising in local communities and schools. Here we organized a lot of training workshops with schools, students and pupils in schools. Also, we do some training workshop with indigenous people and local communities where we try to create the awareness on the importance of mangroves, how these mangroves, the services provided by the mangrove, and how important it is for us to conserve this mangrove. Another pertinent activity we do here is mangrove tree replanting. And we set up some basic mangrove nurseries where we raise mangrove seedlings and we do replanting. And also we do direct planting of the propagos in some degraded mangrove forest ecosystem. And another activity here, we do cleanups in mangroves. The mangroves are highly threatened. The mangroves are highly polluted by plastic pollution. You go into the mangrove today, you will see a lot of plastics, nothing like the fish. Whereas mangrove is a nursery ground for fishes where we need to have abundance of fishy stocks, but you see only plastic, high rate of pollution. That's the case we have today in my community. And we are looking at how we can also collect this plastic. So we do cleanups at the beaches of the mangroves and also inside the mangroves. Like the last picture by the extreme end where we are with the yellow cloths, you see us doing cleanups. And it's something that is really strenuous and it's challenging, but we try to do our best to see how we can work on this. Let's go to the next slide, please. Another activity is a participatory management and restoration of Lekosa Wildlife Reserve. Lekosa is the biggest lake in Cameroon, and Lekosa Wildlife Reserve is also a protected and marine conserved area in Cameroon. We engage with a lot of environmental education among the indigenous people and local community members here in this lake area. And one of the main threats today in this lake is the invasive aquatic weed called Salvinia molesta that has invaded the lake, occupied today more than 60% of the lake surface. Now we engage in the manual and mechanical collection of this invasive aquatic weed, Salvinia molesta. The second picture in the middle, you see us collecting Salvinia molesta with the indigenous people and the local communities. Also in working on the mechanical collection, that we use some mechanical equipments like the waste-free ocean collection trough that was donated by one of our partners in Belgium. And we also use that to collect the invasive aquatic weed that has invaded this lake. Another activity that we are engaged in this program is promotion of and development of agroforestry. We set up nursery and we raise indigenous seeds or native seeds, and we give these seedlings to the local or indigenous community members, which they plant on their various land and try to use for the conservation of this environment, because the Lekosa is also highly threatened by erosion, high rate of erosion along the banks of the lake, landslides along the banks of the lake. So we plant these trees along the banks of the lake, order to reduce the high rate of erosion and landslides. These are some of the activities. And also we engage another activity which I think is not on the slide. We also engage in empowering these local indigenous people on alternative livelihoods, eco-friendly livelihoods like bee farming, another livelihood like poultry and piggery. Because this lake presently is somehow, we can say the lake is empty. There's little or no abundance of fishy stocks in this lake. So these fishermen, their livelihood is highly threatened. So we try to empower them on some alternative livelihood in order to enable them to sustain them economically. Thank you. Yeah, let's go to the next slide. The third program and development foundation is a collection and valorization of abandoned lost or otherwise discarded fishing gears. This is another big threat along the coast of Cameroon. Abandoned ghost gears is another big threat, ghost gears. So all through the coast of Cameroon, so far so good. There are no companies, no industries involved in the collection and valorization of abandoned ghost gears or fishing gears, which is a threat. But there's high rate of fishing, a lot of fishing activities, and the fishing nets, when they're bad, when they are destroyed, they're just abandoned on the banks, on the shores, on the coastline. And this is a big threat to our marine and freshwater ecosystem. They now become ghost gears in the waters. That is a threat to our marine environment. Environment and Food Foundation is trying to look at how to remedy this threat. Also, a lot of environmental awareness is being done among the fishermen in the local coastal communities. We engage them to tell them on some of these threats that is being posed by abandoned ghost gears and try to encourage them on how to sustainably store their waste nets in order to limit these threats. And we engage in the collection of these abandoned lost or otherwise discarded ghost gears, where we encourage the fishermen to bring their abandoned nets. Like in the community we started, that is in the coast of Limbe in Cameroon, along the coast of Cameroon, Limbe, where we try to set up a collection point where we sensitize these community members and tell them that whenever your ghost gear is damaged, you bring it at the collection point. Your ghost is being stored, it's being weighed and registered, and we are trying to see how we can develop a reward system. We give them like an incentive for the waste net they bring for us. Per kilogram of waste, we see how we can remunerate them for that. And also this abandoned net, at the level where we are now, the best technology we can use to recycle or valorize this abandoned ghost gears is to use it to make some crafts. Like we use it to do crafts. That's a craft workshop that we organize at Limbe, the coast of Cameroon. The last picture, I don't know whether it's my right or my left, so where we organize with the women. You see us in the picture with women. We organize the women. The program was to empower women on how to valorize abandoned ghost gears into other products, using ghost gears to make crafts like their shoes, also like baskets and mats. That was how we empowered some of the women in that community, mostly the women of the fishermen and also the fish traders in that community. Yeah, let's go to the next slide, please. Yeah, this is another program and one of the core program of the Environment and Food Foundation, collection of plastic waste bottles and valorization. The plastic pollution is a major threat in my country and also in Africa, particularly in Cameroon. This plastic, the city of Douala, which is where we are presently, our home base, is experienced an offset in marine plastic pollution in these recent years. And this is due to high rate of production of plastic waste bottles from water bottling companies, also from brewery companies producing soft drinks. And this is a big threat. The city of Douala produces over 20,000 tons of plastic waste every day. And this volume has increased drastically in recent years because of increased population and increased urbanization. And this problem is a high problem right now in Cameroon. Looking at the first picture by the right, I think, yeah. You see, there's a river highly flooded with plastic bottles, little or no biological life in that river. The river is totally degraded, is destroyed, and all you see is plastic, plastic, plastic. Something that we need to see how we collect that. It's not enough. We need to look at advanced mechanized techniques to collect the water and prevent the water formation, destruction for our rivers. So our activities here, one, collection. We engage intensely in collection through cleanup, mostly through cleanups right now. We do a lot of cleanups on a regular basis where we engage the local coastal community members, the youths, the students in plastic waste collection through cleanups event, which comes mostly at times once every week. And we try to set up a recycling system, a reward system that will incentivize or monetize the collection of these plastic bottles, working with some of our international partners that provides incentive for our waste collectors. We do a lot of collection and transportation. There's one picture, the middle one, we do carry the plastic waste to our storage site. And yeah, to store a plastic waste. And now at the level where we are, we still try to use our locally available techniques of recycling, like craft. We recycle plastic into crafts like eco benches, eco chairs, and some eco bricks like paving tiles. This is what we can do right now, but we are envisioning having a recycling plan set up for this recycling of this plastic that we collect. That is what we are looking at right now. We hope it come very soon for us to handle this threat in a sustainable and a more eco-friendly manner. So that is some of the programs at the Environment and Food Foundation. And the next slide is a video that is like a shot that was taken by one of our partners in US, Plastic Oceans, through the Blue Community Initiative. The Blue Community is a group of organizations globally that are working to prevent plastic waste, pollution, and other threats to our marine and freshwater ecosystem. And our organization, Environment and Food Foundation, is an official partner of the Blue Communities of Plastic Oceans International. And we engage in this to see how we can save our ocean, preserve our marine and freshwater ecosystem. So, ladies and gentlemen, please just listen and enjoy the video. Thank you. Just go.
In 2021, Plastic Oceans International launched the Global Blue Communities Initiative, a collective of organizations working together to build sustainable communities as a means to end plastic pollution.
My name is Achare Elvis Ayamba. I am a Cameroonian by nationality. I'm the founder and the director of the Environment and Food Foundation. Environment and Food Foundation is an official partner of the Blue Communities Initiative of Plastic Oceans International. Plastic pollution is a major threat here in Douala, Cameroon, most particularly plastic bottles. There is little or no recycling system here in Douala right now. Most of the plastic that leaves the city of Douala is carried by runoff into the mangroves at the Bois de Singe Wildlife Reserve. I saw the threat on this very important mangrove system. Now I was very interested to see how we can put our hands together to be part of the solution to the threat. We are engaged in many activities. We do cleanups, we work on the conservation of mangrove forest ecosystem, we work on the collection and valorization of plastic waste, we do environmental education in communities. The number of volunteers keep on increasing every day. It gives us hope, it gives us courage.
There are many other people, other organizations and NGOs that are joining us to do this work. The awareness is gaining ground.
And we need to continue raising young environmental warriors who can also take the lead. They are the future leaders of tomorrow.
The rivers we see are all drainage. they drain themselves in oceans. These bottles are collected to clean the rivers and also to clean our oceans.
Now, we really want to see how we can set up a recycling factory to collect these plastic waste and recycle them into other products. That is just our dream here in Douala for now. I think it's
Plastic
okay.
pollution is a problem that cannot be solved in isolation, but instead must be done collaboratively to uncover the interconnections and complexities between planet, people, and economy. Together, Blue communities from around the globe can achieve our vision for a healthier and more just planet for all. Be part of it.
Yeah, thank you. And just some brief, some of the achievements we had so far at the Environment and Food Foundation. We had over 25 cleanups successfully organized. Our volunteers, up to over 60 presently, collected over 60,000 kilograms of plastic bottles, planted over 12,000 plants so far, mangroves and indigenous natives trees. Yeah, so I think we can go to the next slide. Yeah, so just some conclusive statement. Just like I wish to say, I first thank the Sustainable Sea Trust for this privilege, and also like encourage others to take the lead in conservation of our ocean and our environment. So I say we are in a decade of action, and the time of action is actually right now, and the youth needs to play the most important role in this action. The youth are the most important stakeholders to engage in environmental issues. So the youth we need to really take it at hand, and we need to really engage to see how we can conserve our environment, particularly our ocean. We all know that today the world population, the youth represent over 40% of the world population. And in the case of Africa, I think 40% is small. The youth represent over 40% of Africa's population. And if these youth engage in conserving our environment, we have a sustainable result. And yeah, the youths are always a driving force. They're always like the engine for sustainable development in this world. Youths, yes, continue to engage in youth-led activities. So it's kind of challenging, but let's encourage ourselves to engage in this. Thank you very much. Let's go. Thank you for your amazing attention. Thank you very much, everyone. And the last slide, please. Yeah, we can get connected. Yeah, where you see our social media handles that we can still remain in touch. Love to get networks. Meet new environmental warriors that we have like passion for us to share, like inspire each other and empower each other. We really need to put our hands together to challenge these threats to environment. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was really wonderful to hear about Environments and Food Foundation and all the inspiration you're bringing to the different communities that you work with there. So thank you to our first speaker, Achare, Elvis, Ayamba. Guyeka, we'll hand over the virtual stage to you when you're ready, and then we'll have some questions for our panelists and for Achare and Guyeka once you've finished speaking. Guyeka, over to you.
Okay, thank you. And thanks to everyone who have joined. And although I've joined lately, but I'm sure I'm not much late for the contents that have been provided by the previous speakers. My name is Guyeka Kuzenza. I'm a youth from United Republic of Tanzania. Yeah, by profession, I'm a heritage manager. But also I'm an environmental activist. I've been involving with different environmental activities that involve conservation of our environment within the country, but also outside Tanzania. So it's a great privilege to be among the panelists, to be among the speakers, to provide out or to share some ideas on how together we can put our hand to make sure that our environment stays forever for the benefit of the current and even the future generations to come. So I didn't prepare a visual presentation, so I'm sorry for that, but I will just try to talk on some issues, giving an example at a case study in Tanzania, so that maybe we can use it in comparison with other delegates from their country, so that maybe from there we can join something together that we can share to make sure that our environment is safe here for a long time. So we know that environment is everything. I can say that environment is everything because we cannot live without environment. And even animals, insects, and all that, they depend on environment, and not just environment, but clean environment that is favorable to everyone. So in Tanzania, we have been involved with different activities that purposely on plastics issues, but also marine environmental conservation. But also we have been involved in, to attend, but also to mobilize events by involving youth, but also children, because they this as are the major important groups that they should have to be interacted with education, environmental education, that is to help them to grow up with, so that even there will be elders that will be teaching their grandchildren on the importance of conserving the environment. So my real concern here that plastic management, environmental conservation in general, does not only require environmental experts. You know, and even Tanzania, I've been in each and every event that I've been provided an opportunity to speak, I've been telling them that environmental conservation does not only require environmental experts, but those guys who have graduated with degrees or diplomas, PhDs on environmental, so that they are the only one to be involved in environmental conservation. No, involving people from other disciplines, it will help us to build up one and common understanding on how we can conserve our environment. For instance, we have agriculturists. Then they depend on environment. Then we have engineers. They depend on the existence of our environment. That engineers they do constructions of roads, railways, and dams and whatever. And at somehow they destroy the environment because it involves excavation and all of that. So that if we involve them in environmental education activities, that they will understand that destroying the environment, it will harm the environment. I mean, it will harm the living things, not only human beings, but also insects. So involving them, but also heritage managers, for instance, you know, here in Tanzania, for some tribes, they have the taboos, or I don't know if I can say taboos, I mean traditional beliefs on sacred forests, for instance, that there are trees or a forest that is prohibited for anyone to cut any kind of a tree from the forest, because it is believed that that forest possesses rituals for a certain community. So by doing so, it helps to conserve the environment. So that means if we will involve them in this kind of discussion, this kind of education, it will also open up their minds that this thing we are doing, it also has a positive impact to the environment. It had positive impact to the insects, the animals, human beings, and all of that. So my point here is involving people from different fields, from different expertise. Either they are archaeologists, the heritage managers, they are engineers, doctors, environmental experts, whatever, because this environment is one and for us all, that each and everyone is using them. So that means this education should be for all. It shouldn't be just for us, for environmental experts and activists and all of that. So I think at one point I wanted to touch on that issue, because I've seen that it's among of the challenging issue that I've been observing even in Tanzania here. I don't know if there are other countries it's happening, but if it's happening, that we should have to come up with a good way, a good solution on how we can involve people from other fields to be involved in, so that we can conserve our environment. But also, I wanted to talk on plastic issues. You know, last month I had an opportunity to Stockholm youth consultation, those consultation events. So we had an opportunity to chair the African youth consultation towards Stockholm 50, the environmental event. So I was among the panelists of that symposium. So I had youth opinions from different sides, from different countries in Africa. So what I saw is that people they are investing a lot of their power in beach cleanups, doing beach cleanups, organizing their fair use, or they're organizing their the community or people around the area, that they should come up together and the costs that to conduct a beach cleanup. Now, of course, it is a good thing, but what I've come to observe that if they come and clean up today, then you go there tomorrow to observe what's happening after the cleanup activity. I've come to observe that if you clean today and you come tomorrow, you will find the wastes are still there, just the same, and even more waste as compared to yesterday. So I've come with an idea that beach cleanups actually don't work. They have just a very minimal contribution to marine environment, the plastics. They have this very little contribution to that. So I think on that, you know, in order to solve this, we should have to deal with the stakeholders, the ones who are producing this plastic waste, the industrial owners, you know. In fact, we should have to deal with them. Now, I actually tried to consult some of them. Now, it is actually a very people. They are investing a lot of their power in beach cleanups, doing beach cleanups, organizing their fair use, or they're organizing their the community or people around the area, that they should come up together and the costs that to conduct a beach cleanup. Now, of course, it is a good thing, but what I've come to observe that if they come and clean up today, then you go there tomorrow to observe what's happening after the cleanup activity. I've come to observe that if you clean today and you come tomorrow, you will find the wastes are still there, just the same, and even more waste as compared to yesterday. So I've come with an idea that beach cleanups actually don't work. They have just a very minimal contribution to marine environment, the plastics. They have this very little contribution to that. So I think on that, in order to solve this, we should have to deal with the stakeholders, the ones who are producing this plastic waste, the industrial owners, in fact, we should have to deal with them. Now, I actually tried to consult some of them. Now, it is actually a very hard thing to do. So I think the government, we should have to work with the government, and the government should support this fully, 100% support, because it's very hard to tell them that they should have to do this, which is something they have been used to do that, and they gain money from there. And it's up to, okay, you should stop producing water bottles with this, which are actually reversible. Maybe I don't know what the best way to do with this, but these industrial owners are the great problem to plastic waste, are the great problem, and we should have to deal effectively with them. We should have to deal very effective with them. So I passed through the National Geographic report concerning to plastics, and they categorize it into microplastics and macroplastics. Means that the microplastics, they are very dangerous to us, because we people living in the coastal areas, maybe we like to eat fish and all that. So these microplastics are being consumed by fishes, and those fishes will also we consume them. That means we are creating a very bad issue to our body, a very bad issue. And actually, I don't know if in the coming years, for other use, maybe when we get at maybe 40s or 50s, I don't know what will happen to our bodies. It's very hard for African, maybe Tanzania, I don't know, even African, to have a body checkup of their health, and maybe to see how plastic content they have in their body. That is very bad. So actually, this is something we should have to work with. They said that half of all plastic ever manufactured have been made in the last 15 years, and production increased exponentially from 2.3 million tons in 1950 to 448 million tons by 2015. So production is expected to be doubled by 2050. So you can see how much this thing is very dangerous. So every year, about 8 million tons of plastics waste escaped into the ocean from coastal nations. That's the equivalent of setting 5 garbage bags full of trucks on every foot of coastline around the world. Plastics often contain additives, making them stronger, more flexible, and durable. But many of these additives can extend the life of products, and if they become litter, with some estimated ranging to at least 400 years to break down.
Thank you, Guyeka. I think we're going to have to cut you off there, just because we're a bit conscious of time, and our panelists can't unfortunately stay past our hour mark today. But thank you, Guyeka, for raising a number of points. The issue in terms of cleanups and the role that they play is a bit of a, not quite a contentious issue, but it's true that they, in terms of limiting plastic going into the environment, they are a bit limited, but they are at least, there is something to be said for them providing a very public platform for the issue. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us today. We're going to move now to Dr. Isa Elegabede, who's joining us, who's got quite a bit of knowledge, a bit of experience in both Nigeria and through Africa and through Europe. So, Doctor, would you? I see you haven't unmuted yet. If you wouldn't mind just perhaps introducing yourself a little bit, and then if you could provide any comments on the 2 speakers this morning, any sort of guidance or feedback, and then we'll move on to questions when you're ready.
Yes, I'm ready. Thanks so much, Tara. It's an honor to be here today. So, clearly?
Yes, it did seem to glitch for a little bit there, but we could hear you quite clearly.
Okay.
Thank you, Guyeka. I think we're going to have to cut you off there, just because we're a bit conscious of time, and our panelists can't unfortunately stay past our hour mark today. But thank you, Guyeka, for raising a number of points. The the issue in terms of cleanups and the role that they play is a bit of a, not quite a contentious issue, but it's true that they, in terms of limiting plastic going into the environment, they are a bit limited, but they are at least, yeah, there is something to be said for them providing a very public platform for the issue. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us today. We're going to move now to Dr. Isa Elegabede, who's joining us, who's got quite a bit of knowledge, a bit of experience in both Nigeria and through Africa and through Europe. So, Doctor, would you? I see you haven't unmuted yet. If you wouldn't mind just perhaps introducing yourself a little bit, and then if you could provide any comments on the two speakers this morning, any sort of guidance or feedback, and then we'll move on to questions when you're ready.
Yes, I'm ready. Thanks so much, Tara. It's an honor to be here today. So clearly?
Yes, it did seem to glitch for a little bit there, but we could hear you quite clearly.
Okay.
If the connection isn't particularly stable, perhaps switching off your camera might just help keep the audio clear.
Okay, great. So what about now? Is it fine now?
Yes, it's fine.
Yeah, great. Yeah. So thanks so much, Tara, and thanks so much, everyone, for the invitation. It's an honor to be here today. And I must as well commend our wonderful speakers on their various initiatives and efforts towards making the environment sustainable. Firstly, I would like to say Africa must be great, and Africa must be sustainable. And on that note, I again want to appreciate their efforts. Yeah, I would like to make some remarks concerning Mr. Ayamba, concerning his presentation. Yeah, you're doing a lot, and a lot of engagement are evolving from your environment, including various outcomes. I want to probably suggest that you should incorporate the full aspect of circularity in your process in terms of the ghost net. The ghost net, try to see how you could adequately explore or maximize the opportunities of reusing or the adapting the materials in a more efficient way. Then probably it could be a good one to see how data could be collected, because one of the things you are doing a lot of work. However, data has been always problem in the African context. Probably if you could begin to create like database or probably of ghost net, of ocean waste, marine litters, and as well other things that you're doing. So from there, those data could be indexed or published in external source as well could be published in journals or some other repositories. So that would be fine. And in your community engagement, try to also look at how citizens can be fully incorporated in the context of citizen science. So let's see how we can embroider the aspect of citizen science to promote activities and to see how we can earn positive results. Yeah. Another thing I want to as well say is that have you incorporated or worked with local traditional people in terms of probably the clergy, I mean the church or the mosque? In African context, we so much celebrate people that are more from the religious angle. This is another positive way to connect and to make awareness on environmental activities, like Mr. The last speaker, I could not get the name.
Guyeka.
yeah, Mr. Guyeka, sorry, he's not on the list. Yeah, Mr. Guyeka mentioned something that tackling environmental problem or conservation issues is not limited to only environmentalists. I completely agree. It should be highly inclusive. We need all on board, which correspond to the three major take home of the decade of action that talks about inclusiveness, bringing everybody on board, and as well the consideration of all stakeholders. So I agree with that. We need to bring people from the heart, people from art, people from commercial accounting, people from engineering, people from different sectors to talk about how to use innovations to tackle environmental problem. So on this note, I will pause here till I move to my panel discussion section. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I see we have had one or two comments and questions come through in the Q&A. The first was directed to our first speaker, Achare, which is saying it was an incredible presentation and thank you for providing such insights and a well-structured, incredibly interesting presentation. Then we also have a question for Achare. I see our second speaker has had a bit of technical issues, so he seems to have dropped off for now. But Achare, there's a question here for you saying, how did they mobilize volunteers to collect so much waste? And in your experience, what has been your learnings and best practices in building a strong volunteering community? Sorry, community.
Yeah, thank you. Are you getting me clearly?
Sorry, do you need me to repeat the question?
Yeah, I got the question. So I'm just asking if my microphone is good. I mean, I can continue.
Yes,
okay.
We can hear you clearly.
Yeah, thank you very much. And firstly, let me thank Doctor for that brilliant input to the presentation. Thank you very much. It is well noted. And, now let me move forward to this question. How do we mobilize volunteers to collect plastic waste? Yeah. So I will come back by talking about the strong point raised by my colleague, the second speaker, sorry, as Guyeka, yeah. So talking about engaging everyone, all skills in environmental conservation. Yeah, that was a very powerful one there. That was a very big point. And that is like one of the things we do here. Yeah, we do a lot of inclusiveness. So we get into the communities where we want to engage in these cleanups, and we incorporate the indigenous people and the local communities. We make them to be like the owners of the project under our supervision, and we try to allow them to take the lead, because we understand that we need support from the indigenous and local communities so much that without their support, we can't do anything. So we make them like owners of the project, not beneficiaries of the project. So we make them to have this notion that they own the project, and the project is for their community development. They are the ones suffering the hazards, the threats of this problem, especially the plastic. When we go there, you hear them saying, oh, a lot of mosquito, a lot of diseases, a lot of malaria, this and that, the water, no water to drink. So we try to tell them that if they cooperate with us, if they integrate with us seriously, we try to see how we can reduce the threat, reduce some of this impact. So yeah, that's how we get to mobilize them, and they become aware of the threat, and they see how beneficial it will be for them if they engage with us to collect these plastic bottles. So now, when we are coming for cleanups, as I said also during the presentation, we have this system of incentivizing the collection of this plastic, and that is a reward. When they work with us, we always provide a reward to them to encourage them. So when next we are coming, they're the one instead calling us to come to do more cleanups with them. So it's a sort of way of motivating them, a sort of encouraging them to work with us seriously. My experience, my learning and best practices in building strong volunteer community. Yeah, on volunteering, I think like what I said, our environment, our foundation, we lay more emphasis on renewing environmental mindfulness, and that is just our motto. we try to work on the mindset of the people, a mindset shift by trying to empowering them, letting them know some of the hazards at hand and what might happen in the nearest future if something is not done. And now we try to also encourage them to help support us, put hands together with us to see how we can work on this. And it's all about community development. The work we do, we try to do it in such a way the benefits all return to the community. We empower them, like we train them on alternative livelihoods. Is for them also to raise their income, their standard of living. So that's just some of the techniques we try to put in place to make our community engagement successful. I don't know if I got answer all the questions.
Yes, I think that was great and very very good advice for people who are looking to do similar work in the community and with education. I see we're quickly approaching our the 12 o'clock mark. So the next question is for Dr. Isa, our panelist today. You have quite an extensive background with research and monitoring and things like that. I was wondering if you could comment at all about what was raised earlier about the limited application for cleanups, even if it's just
Sorry.
sort of.
Sorry, come again. Sorry.
So even if it's just a short comment, in the second presentation there was a point that was raised, sort of questioning the how effective cleanups can be in sort of the fight of plastic pollution. With your experience with monitoring and sort of researching the both quantitative and qualitative research with pollution, can you comment at all on that? Is there any sort of feedback you want to share on that?
Yes, thanks so much. Like we know, cleanup process, especially for coastal and marine litters, are continuous process. So these processes should be done continuously. However, there is need to create like a value chain for marine litter cleanup so that immediately those waste are retrieved from water bodies, they should be immediately valorized. They should be immediately used into something important, because sources of these plastics, for example, will not stop in as much as we have people living on the planet. People will continue to use plastics, people will continue to pollute the environment unless there are adequate regulations in the country. And I know some African countries have started regulating and giving ways, modalities towards waste separation and waste management. So in a case where we don't have that kind of structure, it is important to create an immediate responsive value chain for marine and coastal litters cleanups, so that there will be continuous use of those plastics. In addition, like I said, it is also important to, you see, environmental and sustainability work is not done effectively in isolation. There's need to consider and to incorporate all hands. And in that case, it is important to see how we can incorporate initiatives like citizen science. Let citizens be involved. Let's see how they can be involved, and they can as well be tokenized in terms of giving them reward or benefits in any form, so that they can appreciate that, and they can appreciate what they are doing. And for our funders, our project funders and sponsors, I also want to see how we can always celebrate our community people, our citizens, our traditional people, our indigenous people. After using them for any project, let's see how we can always put their name on board, so that in the future, their children or their children that are fortunate probably to go to school will say, my dad or my uncle or my mom was part of this initiative. So let's celebrate them. And that is one of the key concepts of the Decade of Action, to see how everyone could be celebrated and everyone could be involved in tackling this work by 2030, because by 2030 or even before 2030, we may not reach our 100% result. However, we need to have significant outcome, and that cannot be done alone. It will be done in a collective and inclusive way. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and definitely great points there in terms of involving the community and getting them on board. And I think our first speaker has done a really good job in that, in terms of community engagement in the cleanup process, and in valuing the environment and recognizing the contribution that they have, and the role that they play. I see we're almost at our closing time. So Achare, I was wondering if you would perhaps close with maybe one or two pieces of advice that you would give to someone, perhaps someone who's looking to start a similar initiative. If for example, it was a youth or a university student, or someone who was looking to kind of start a similar initiative to you, what are one or two pieces of advice that you would offer them?
Yeah, thank you. I think I've already, it's all about getting action. Yeah, it's time for us to get down and work. Like, especially for us, the youth, the beginning might be challenging. Starting is always difficult, but I'm just encouraged youth, just get started. So it's a challenge. A very challenging journey. And it's not easy, but just be confident with yourself, just be courageous, take the lead, just start and see how you go far. Just believe that's how you're going to go. And also, this is a decade of action. We are working for a 2030 agenda, which is conserving at least 30% of the surface of the earth by 2030. And I wish to also emphasize that this agenda can come to reality if everybody put hands together. If all stakeholders work in collaboration. Inclusiveness, just like what Doctor said, is something that we need to take very serious. Everybody must be involved here. Everybody, all stakeholders, all fields, all professions must be involved for us to attain this 2030 agenda. And I must say that 2030 agenda is just the least, the minimum we should have to conserve 30% of the earth. That's the minimum, that's the least. We should also be looking at going to 50%, that is conserving at least 50% of this earth in the nearest future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the comments, and I think we'll close off here for today. So thank you so much everyone for joining us today. We really appreciate the questions that you've brought and the comments, and your contribution to the dialogue with youth throughout Africa. And then a special thank you to our speakers for today. We really appreciate the time that you've taken out of your busy schedules to share with us the initiatives that you're doing and the wonderful work that's taking place. And also a thank you to our panelist, Dr. Isa today. We really appreciate your time as well, and we know you're quite busy and heading off to your next engagement after this, so thank you for taking the time to provide some feedback and offer some comments with your experience. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll email you the links once the webinar has been uploaded to YouTube, and we really encourage you to follow us on social media and on our events page to see what's coming up next. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Thursday, and on behalf of myself at SEC, and also Anga, our head of the African Youth Waste Network, thank you so much for joining us through the series.